Hello and welcome to First Coast Living. I'm Jordan Wilkerson.
And I'm Mike Pringley. Now, during the holidays, a lot of time is spent in the kitchen, and that's because cooking is a wonderful way to spend time with loved ones.
Oh, yes. And Andy Murray knows that all too well. He grew up with 8 siblings, including actor and comedian Bill Murray and Brian Doyle Murray. Andy is behind the brains behind the Murray Brothers Caddyshack in St. Augustine and in Illinois. And we are so honored to have you on First Coast Living. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here. It really is.
And we're so excited to talk about some fun things going on for you. But first, let's talk about your cookbook. What inspired you to write a cookbook?
I was cooking Thanksgiving dinner at my brother Billy's house up in Charleston. And this woman came in and she just watched me for the whole time. And she didn't clean a plate or, ask to do any work. And I was like, and at the end of the meal, she goes, "That was a fantastic meal. It's the most beautiful turkey I've ever seen. You should write a cookbook." And I was like, and it ended up, it was Karen Duffy, who was Duff on MTV.
Oh.
And she said, "Here, I want you to call my agent." And so I just said, "Well, I got a lot on my plate. Let's talk after the new year." And then the pandemic hit, and I had 3 different other people tell me I should write a cookbook.
Really?
And so I called her back, and that's how it all started.
Had you never considered it?
Not really, no. It's just, I'm always, focused on the restaurant and here and up in Chicago.
Yeah, busy family.
And speaking of family, that's what it's all about, right? So you're the 4th brother, and you've got 9 siblings in all. That's an amazing...
9 siblings: Ed, Brian, Nancy, Peggy, Billy, Lauren, Andy, John, Joel.
I already failed that quiz. I won't remember that.
And you're basically, what inspired you to share the family stories? Because I'm sure that was a big...
Well, it started, I started cooking very young. My mother had me learn how, said, "Why don't you learn how to cook bacon?" Because when you cook at our house, you had to cook 3 or 4 pounds of bacon. Yes. And so my mom said, "Well, you could just sit there, and if you're cooking bacon, you get to eat extra bacon." So that was a good thing. So that's how I started cooking.
And then just wanting to, in this book, share some of those memories as well as your recipes?
Well, it was sharing the recipes. It was sharing the stories of our family about sitting around the table. We had to sit at the dinner table from Sunday through Thursday. Friday, Saturday, you could do what you wanted, but 6 o'clock, you better be at the dinner table. And that's how it all goes. But there's other stories in there that are, the restaurants I worked at and different celebrities I cooked for. There's Frank Sinatra, and there's Princess Margaret, and Jackie Onassis. So it was a good time. It really was.
What does it take to be a good professional chef? I mean, what are some tools that you always have to have on hand?
Tools or patience? You need a lot of patience first. Tools, you need a good knife. You need
That's
a
like your main
thermometer.
thing, right?
If you've got a good knife, you can do almost anything, and a paring knife.
Okay.
So.
And then how did you select the recipes for your cool cookbook over there?
They basically, if I could figure out a good story to go with it. The Frank Sinatra story, there's a Dover sole in there, and we had a dinner party for Red Buttons actually had the dinner party for Frank Sinatra. He was playing at Madison Square Garden. I was working at a restaurant called Mortimer's, which was the she corner saloon for the society folk. And so we were doing rack of lamb for a dozen people, and they came in after the concert and sat down, and 2 minutes later, Barbara Sinatra was at the door of the kitchen, goes, "My husband and I, we don't eat lamb. Can you make something else?"
Oh, no.
And I said, "Well, how about, would you like Dover sole?" And she said, "Oh, I'd love some Dover sole." So we made Dover sole, and the dinner's over, and all of a sudden Frank Sinatra's at the door of the kitchen, goes, "Who made that sole?" Then I immediately point to my fish guy. And he goes out, he hands him a $100 bill, and then he starts passing out cash to everybody in the kitchen. It was like, oh.
You're like, "Wait, it was me, actually."
No. It was like, I got mine. He was a wonderful, wonderful guest to have. And then when he left, we all ran out the side door and cheered him. It's like,
that's awesome.
That is so cool. And Bill Murray actually wrote the foreword in your book.
Billy wrote the foreword. It was like grab and smoke, getting him to do it. But it's like,
We'll talk about some of his favorites too in here. His favorite recipe.
Billy, the fried chicken is one of them. My mom's fried chicken, he could eat that all day. Brian brought John Belushi over to the house one day, who ate maybe 3 chickens sitting there. But Billy was that. There's another thing that's kind of controversial, but we have this peanut butter mayonnaise and lettuce sandwich.
Oh, yeah, I
That
don't
we
know.
grew up on, and
He goes,
something
yeah, I would be
different.
the one.
it's people go, it's weird, but the combination of flavors really work.
Interesting.
I've got friends who can't be in the same room as mayonnaise, but
Yeah.
it's funny. But this really works.
Okay, really quickly though, what is your favorite recipe?
The Bill Blast meatloaf.
And that
I'm a
does sound
meatloaf
good.
guy.
And what do we have here too?
Yeah,
Because you
so
also
This
make
is
some
this is our
cocktails.
Bloody Bull. This is the Bloody Bull. It's a combination. It's your Bloody Mary mix. It's got beef broth.
Cheers.
It's
Beef
got
broth.
vodka and lemon. And
Oh wow, that's nice. You know
Wow.
what? Because I actually don't really
Strong.
like Bloody Marys that much, but I was like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna be a team player, and I think I like this better than
yeah,
a traditional.
I do too. I like it a lot better than the Bloody Mary.
Very
Oh my
flavorful.
gosh. Okay, so you've got a book signing coming up. Where can people find you? Find the book.
You can find me tonight at Murray Brothers Caddy Shack in the World Golf Village from 5 to 7, or as long as people want me to sign books, I'll sit there and sign. But yeah, we're signing books tonight.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining us. This was such a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Great finally meeting you, and good job. You learned to tie a bow tie during the pandemic.
Well, you were one of the reasons. I was like, Mike's always got a bow tie on, and he ties
He
them
watches.
himself.
I love that.
That's very nice of you. Well, thank you very much.
Good luck with everything.
Check it out. Head out to Caddy Shack and have some fun here with Andy. And of course, for more on this, head to our website, firstcoastliving.net.